Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Gripdough ND, where every child gets a fair chance to learn, grow, and thrive financially in their unique way. Today's episode is close to my heart. We're talking about how parents, educators, and communities can work together to support financial literacy for neurodivergent children. Joining me is someone who deeply understands what it means to support families from both a professional and personal lens. Melissa Michelini. Melissa is a passionate family capacity building advocate, a parent coach, and psychologist with a master's in learning disability. She is also a mom to a wonderful neurodivergent child. Melissa has lived across 5 continents, bringing a truly global understanding of what it means to build inclusive, thriving families. Her work integrates neuroscience, psychology, and lived experience, helping parents and caregivers navigate the emotional and practical challenges of raising neurodivergent children. Melissa, I'm so excited to have you with us today. Welcome to Gripdough ND. Thank you for making time for us. You bring both professional expertise in psychology and your experience as a parent coach, as well as being a parent yourself. So, how has that shaped the way you see financial literacy, especially for neurodivergent children?
Oh, thanks for having me, Geetha. It's lovely to be able to chat with you today. Yeah, definitely wearing both hats. Financial literacy is a pathway to independence, a pathway to confidence, to inclusion, and kind of coming at it from the psychology as well as the personal experience. Like, it's always underestimated for our neurodivergent kids how capable they really are. But it's brought home how vital these what we call life skills are as well. So I know firsthand that it can be overwhelming, abstract topic. I mean, I find it very hard to grasp that the money in my bank is not there. It's like zeros and ones on a computer somewhere, right? But equally, I've seen how beautifully it can click when, we teach it in ways that make sense to their brains. When it's visual, when it's concrete, when it's meaningful to them. So really, it's not just about teaching money skills or math skills. It's about nurturing confidence, about giving them choice and autonomy, giving them a sense of, I can do this in my own way.
Actually, that is more important. Once they get that confidence, then the world is theirs to conquer. Just like you said, money definitely feels abstract, even for us adults these days, especially in the digital age. But for neurodivergent kids, they can be especially tricky, like one level up. From your experience as a parent coach, why do ideas like money or counting or budgeting sometimes feel more abstract or much harder to grasp compared to their peers?
So neurodivergent brains are beautiful, are wonderful, but they do often come with executive functioning differences. So these are essentially skills like planning, working memory, impulse control, sequencing, and that impacts every facet of their life. And as we know, these are essential for things like budgeting or saving. Abstract thinking requires cognitive flexibility that brains like this find it a bit harder to grasp symbolic leaps. So, for example, this $10 note means something, not because it's a $10 note, but what it can buy, the sort of symbolic value of it. It's really tricky for someone who has very literal thinking.
Correct.
Which a lot of our kids do. And I think especially autistics, those with ADHD or intellectual disabilities, often experience these executive functioning challenges. And that just makes managing money or planning future spending that much more complex.
Actually, at Gripdough ND also, we are trying to put together some resources and games and tools that neurodivergent kids can use. Just like you said, neurodivergent brains process things differently. How do we, as parents or as caregivers or even as educators, use that knowledge to teach money skills more effectively? I mean, it's a different brain, but not less. We just have to approach it in a way that feels comfortable to their brains.
if you can give us some anecdotes or examples from your memory, that would be great.
Well, I still really struggle with finances. Can't even balance my own checkbook. But you know, one thing I do want to note as well, coming to different brains, is that our neurodivergent learners often experience something called dyscalculia. We've all heard of dyslexia, and we know that's issues with words and literacy. But dyscalculia is common amongst neurodivergent, and that really impacts their ability to comprehend numbers, or, you know, adds additional anxiety around maths and stuff. And something we don't often think about, but your previous guest raised, which was a great point, which is that, you know, there's a lot of emotional response around money or finances.
Yes.
You know, we're all guilty of comfort shopping and then, you know, buyer's remorse.
Of course.
And, you know, our kids often have this sort of additional sensory or emotional regulation factors that will impact that too. So I think when you're coming to really helping them to grasp, they respond very well. Make things tangible, make it visible. You know, for example, I know our kids respond well to learning to count with physical items. You know, break down complex skills into clear steps. Simplify language. You know, you don't have to say we're going to make a long-term investment. Just say we're saving for later, right?
Yes.
Real life examples. Link lessons, in inverted commas, to familiar routines, you know, buying a snack at the canteen or going to the grocery store. I think gamifying is always a winner, making it fun, making it engaging, making it often social, right, if it's in the classroom scenario. I think for us, we start even smaller. It's not even make numbers and figuring things out fun. Start there. So what we do is, you know, my daughter loves to help dad pack for his business trips. And literally we start with, I'm going from Monday to Friday. How many will it be? Or she'll, you know, he says, I'll be gone for 4 days. How many pairs of socks do I need? And she'll, so, you know, clearly we've got a lot of work to do on numbers, but at least we'll have clean socks. You know?
Yeah, it's a beginning. Just like you said, my son, he watches a lot of these YouTube songs. So we found a song that explains 250 cents, $1. And though we've done the thing quite some time, the song actually had more impact on him because it was video and audio, and there's a tune and he can dance along to it. So that sort of gave him a whole full body lesson compared to us sitting at the table and, you know, counting out cents and dollars. So I'm completely amazed by how their brain processes it. It's just that we have to get on the program. Like, this is from parents' point of view, but we often say that it takes a village. And in our case, the village includes teachers, even the school staff, the social workers. So what role do you see them playing in helping our neurodivergent children build their money skills?
Well, I will leave the education to the experts. But really what I'd want to see, accessible learning, whatever that looks like for the kid. Like you said, your son responds really well to a song and a dance, and that makes it stick. Practical experience and emotional connection, and something like that encompasses all of those. You know, interestingly enough, some of the larger things that we're thinking about, you know, for financial understanding or independence, what we need to do is we need to start encouraging autonomy from a young age, allowing them to make choices. I think what happens is that, you know, somehow we magically expect our kids to get to 18 and be able to make wise choices or anticipate possible consequences, right?
Yeah.
But how can they ever do that if we don't let them practice?
True.
And again, it's about starting small. Depending on the age of your kid, the decision that they make will be, do you want the red shirt or the blue shirt today?
Start from very, very small things.
Allow them to make those decisions. Allow them to experience what happens after they've made that decision. You know, the red shirt's hot and itchy. I should have worn the blue one. Again, it starts small. The decision making has nothing to do with money, but lets them build the skill they need to be able to have authentic involvement in their life decisions. That will allow them to become independent young adults. And it can start, simple.
Yeah.
Choosing what clothes or food they buy and become more complex as they get older. There's a lot of research behind this, and I'll send you some links afterwards. But Mamek and Jansen, for example, discussed the child voice. And it's a model that promotes coaching children in the art of making the right choices, including them in, their decisions, making their own decisions. And I think if you can start, and it's never too late to start, it's never too early to start giving children opportunities to make choices. But again, it's never too late to sort of say, oh gosh, I haven't included you in this up till now. Can you, tell me what you think? For me, how important it is, the role of family and caregivers, working in collaboration with our support villages, right? Schools, social workers, therapists. And I think, parents and caregivers are the bridge between learning and applying skill. And I think sometimes that involves a shift in our sort of mindset from protection to preparation.
Thin line, but sometimes we really have to be bold enough and trust our kids. And even if they fail, we should be able to, wrap it up as a live and learn experience instead of thinking it's a very big catastrophe.
Exactly. You've got to help families learn to trust that independence develops through small risks, not avoidance of them. Like you said, like live and learn. And I think that is a vital skill that you need, whatever literacy we're discussing, financial or life literacy.
So like you said, everything starts small. Before we go into finance and money, we start with their autonomy. We build like these small blocks that will ultimately become a bigger one. So I have like a fun question, but I ask this everyone because it brings out a lot of interesting answers. If you could design a school program or a CCA or even a toolkit or a game around money education for neurodiverse learners, what elements would you include in it to make it more inclusive, engaging, and effective? And I remember when I thought through this question, I thought I would definitely include some sensory elements, which are very, very beneficial for our children. But I would love to hear your ideas too.
Well, I think that's where it's getting exciting, because what we're hearing from grown-up neurodivergent adults who are able to now share their experience with us. And I think, we're learning to see that money, finance is a thinking skill, not a maths skill.
True.
And I think involving neurodivergent people in the design of what I really want to see is, okay, get your son's class to come up with their own system of money or something. See what they do with it. See where they go with it. See what rules and logic that they apply.
That's brilliant, because they might probably come up with a better system compared to what we have.
They think outside the box. They've vision that we don't have. And so actually what might look ridiculous on first glance would actually be a sort of huge shift, that could be applied to banking systems or payment systems.
And truth is, money is only half physical, it's half psychology. So once, like you said, you involve the children in the game, that is such a wonderful suggestion, because nobody gave me this answer ever. So it comes from your experience as...
Or it might be a bit outside the box and off the wall, but...
Yeah, but no, it's wonderful because the psychology part is addressed. The rest is just numbers and counting that you can get to. But many adults even struggle around the psychology of money. So if kids get involved in this game development or a system development, the psychology part is down. Now you just have to address the other part. So that's such a wonderful suggestion. I never thought of it this way. So, goes to your expertise for coming up with that.
I can see them enjoying choosing the color of whatever it is they're going to be playing with, or so.
That would be magical. And like you said, and you can come answer this question from a psychology point of view, and or as a mom as well. And because I asked Vasu the same question, parents, we often feel overwhelmed, like everything hits us very big, and we all definitely want to start. There is no parent who says, I don't want to teach money or financial literacy. We all want to start, but we don't know how. And it's easy for me to say, just start small, but there's knowing and then there's doing. So what advice would you give to them for starting small money lessons at home? Like the socks was a wonderful example. So if there's a parent who's struggling with breaking it down into small chunks, what advice would you give them?
Yes, it's really easy to start small baby steps, but where? So in our house, we rely very heavily on social stories for several scenarios, and these are essentially illustrated step-by-step guides, whether it's prepping for shower time or a trip to the dentist. These could be adapted, maybe showing how money moves from, I don't know, earning to spending to saving, for example. Again, these are very visual learners, and they're used to having
steps
presented to them. First this and this.
Yeah.
Often there's an element of the environment being stressful as well, right? So if you're in a very loud, crowded place, you're not going to learn to count your change. So ideally, practice in a low stress setting, and that can be at home. Let's pretend we have a store and we're selling and exchanging, or at school, get the teacher to say, let's have a craft fair, something. This way you build familiarity with buying, with paying in these lovely calm environments, and then you can layer in the real world scenarios, right?
Yes.
MRT station or a hawker center. Just keep stretching and building.
Yeah. In my son's school, they have this role play where teachers just get snacks and they role play a supermarket. You can give $2 and then they count out the change, and it's done in a very quiet classroom. So that gives him more confidence to actually go and do it in a supermarket with the same $2. So it's just a matter of building that confidence. And when they're ready, we take them out to stretch their comfort zone a bit.
Further to that is a lot of our kids, particularly autistic kids, work on scripts. They have their learned scripts, whatever that looks like. So if you're role playing and practicing that, then he's also covered for, hi, I'd like to buy this. How much is it? It's really, and that is something he can fall back on, even if the environment is
stressful. Yes. So that is from a home perspective. So right now, social workers or therapists who already support ND children, how can they integrate financial literacy into the existing plan or IEPs or sessions in a meaningful way? Not an isolated topic, but somehow weave it into the program that they're doing for the child.
I think you've answered your own question there. Actually, it's the weaving it in, right? It's the recognizing that it's not a separate entity. You're not just teaching maths, or you're not just teaching money. It's you're teaching skills and concepts and real life activities. I think there's a sort of growing recognition that financial independence isn't just built in the classroom.
True.
It's cultivated. It's everyday experiences. So as we said, at home or in the shops, in community programs, increasingly online, right? I think kids I have no idea how it works, but Robux or whatever it is in their games.
Yeah.
And it's this interconnection, families, schools, community, therapists, that create that path to independence. So I think, don't know how it's done ideally, but I think being able to normalize the different brains, how they learn, encourage supported autonomy, however that looks, promote. You and I are both big fans of using kids' strengths
Yes.
their motivation and understanding.
Yes.
I'm sure there are experts in education who can harness that,
Mm.
to translate it to, managing money through creative something, I don't know. But, and, we've spoken a lot about challenges, but equally, a lot of our children are fantastic at spotting patterns or
That's true.
really understanding systems.
Yes.
So again, there are a lot of strengths to play into. Yeah.
We just have to harness it. Just yesterday, my daughter was saying, because my son likes Just Dance a lot, she said we should find a song that talks about money to which he can do a Just Dance for, and that would probably help him. So I was amazed because there's the strength based learning that we talk about. And if I can tell it to his teacher, and they can sort of harness this information and make it work for whatever lessons they are using it for. And that strengths based approach is a game changer for us in our family. And as you said, we all have to just work as a team. You see a strength, you share it with your team, and then they all work together, so we create this synchronous output.
Yes. And once the strength is shared, someone might come up with this genius idea of, oh, well, have you thought of this? Would he enjoy that? And, it wouldn't have even crossed your mind. So I'm a big fan of celebrating strengths, of sharing information with your entire support village and team. Don't, never gatekeep stuff. I feel that's so limiting. I understand the temptation to do that. As a parent, like we've said earlier, we want to wrap them in bubble wrap. We're kept awake at night by how vulnerable our children are. In so many ways. And I think particularly in this discussion, we're thinking, oh my gosh, scammers get even the smartest, most savvy people to fall for these outrageous things. How can we prepare them for that? I think there is a real duty of care from everyone concerned with any child, whether it's educators, whether it's therapists, family, to ensure that, the children are equipped with knowledge to make decisions to the best of their ability. Practicing using that skill, and then hopefully, we can't keep them in bubble wrap their whole life.
And like you said, it all starts from autonomy, making your own choices and learning from that. It's such a simple step, but it forms the foundation for their whole, even if I talk just financial literacy, the ability to make choices as to what works better for you. It happens at all levels of money management. So if we can build on those steps, and I'm sure they will extrapolate it into the money world as well. Wow, Melissa, thank you so much for sharing your time, expertise, and heartfelt insights with us today. And you wove together your professional knowledge as a psychologist and parent coach, along with your lived experience as a parent of a neurodivergent child. So from all of us at Gripdough ND, we are very grateful for your guidance, encouragement, and perspective. And I'm very sure all our listeners are leaving today not only with fresh ideas to try, but also the reassurance that they are not alone on this journey.
Thanks, Geetha. I just sort of want to say, leaving on a hopeful note, that the next generation of neurodivergent kids won't just learn financial literacy. They're going to help reshape what it looks like for everyone. I really genuinely believe that we're moving from fixing to understanding, from exclusion to belonging, and that shift will change everything. And when we design money education that honors these different ways of thinking, we're not teaching skills. We are building confidence. We're giving agency. We're hopefully, preparing a future where every child will be able to thrive.
That's the hope.
Thank you. I hope so. Thank you for letting me.
Thank you so much.
Melissa, thank you so much for this deeply insightful conversation. What stood out today was your strength-based approach, that beautiful reminder to focus on what our children can do. You've shown us how financial literacy isn't something we teach in isolation. It's something we build together through social stories or real life modeling and everyday conversations that give children a sense of voice and autonomy. And I have to say, as one of my closest friends, it's always extra special to have you here. I've firsthand seen the empathy, the wisdom, and genuine care that you bring to every family you support, and it shines through so clearly in today's conversation. I love how you framed financial learning as a community effort where parents, educators, and even your peers become part of nurturing not just money skills but confidence, curiosity, and competence. Your suggestions and resources that you've shared, especially for understanding challenges like dyscalculia, will truly help families see a clearer, more compassionate path forward. And most of all, I'm taking away your message of hope that when we believe in our child's competence and include them in real decisions, we're not just teaching them about money, we are teaching them that their choices matter. Thank you once again, Melissa, for sharing your wisdom, warmth, and friendship. And to everyone listening, may we all keep building those small moments of trust, inclusion, and empowerment that shape capable, confident futures for every child. Thank you.